Our conversation, which is on business process outsourcing. It's a very lucrative business, but how lucrative is it for Nigeria as a whole, Africa? Of course, we know that South Africa seems to be the only country that has been benefiting from this lucrative arm of business. But let's talk more about it. I'm being joined on the program by the Vice President, Association of Outsourcing Professionals of Nigeria, Obiora Madu. Mr. Madu, good morning, and thank you so much for coming in.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Now, before we start our conversation, congratulations. It seems your productivity level is very high. I should come to you for some lessons. You received the National Productivity Order of Merit Award last week, Tuesday. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So let's see if we can replicate that in this business outsourcing industry that we're going to be talking about.
Sure, a lot is already being done about it.
Definitely. How much? Because if we see only South Africa in Nigeria at the moment, in Africa at the moment, benefiting from this industry, how are we seeing a lot being done?
Well, the point is that the Indians had an edge. I use the word had because actually they're beginning to lose it now. They're getting more interested in other areas. So Africa should actually be the next destination. But it's not only South Africa. Ghana has done a lot. Mauritius. Kenya is also doing. Egypt. Nigeria also doing, even though we have to step up a whole lot of a lot of work needs to be done.
So in terms of now talking about, let's talk about the potentials.
Maybe we should start by explaining what this whole thing is all about.
That's the business process outsourcing.
Yes, the viewers can follow us. Business process outsourcing is a situation where an organization takes some function that is not core, usually, passes it on to a third party to execute. It could be in HR, it could be accounting, it could be training. It's quite wide. Then there's also need to differentiate it from contracting, because there's so much contracting going on in Nigeria, and people are referring to that as outsourcing. So outsourcing is a very organized and strategic business which supports other businesses. For example, part of the reason why companies are outsourcing is to stay on their core business. Because all those very particular functions that are not core to you, you cannot do it better than those who do it for a living. So for that reason, each time you outsource, you expect results. You expect that job will be done faster, you expect that it will be done better, and you also expect that it will be done at a lower cost.
Which is the reason why it seems to have made a success in the telecommunications industry.
That's right, and everywhere. Initially, it was all about only cost reduction. But now it has become more strategic because it's giving companies competitive advantage, and they're not playing with it at all.
So that means we should see more incursion of such outsourcing companies coming into Nigeria or Africa as a whole, because you mentioned South Africa, or I mentioned South Africa.
Yeah.
There's Kenya, there's Mauritius, and there's Ghana. But these are just a handful.
Yeah.
Africa is the next top destination for any business who is ready to make money. And so as much as possible, we should begin to see more of this company coming in. But then what are the potentials and prospects to make any of these foreign companies to want to bring their outsourcing needs to Africa?
That means we should be talking about what makes a destination attractive as far as outsourcing is concerned.
Yes.
Quality of people. I mean, in terms of human resource, it is key. Then, of course, infrastructure, telecoms-wise, infrastructure, power-wise, economic stability. Then also you are looking at the legal situation in the country, so that how can people ensure that contracts are kept to, and that if you take a legal action, you get a result within. So all these are what is required. Then, of course, everybody, since it is a cost reduction strategy somehow, you are also looking for a destination where the labor cost is not going to be as expensive as where you are coming from. But I guess what gave India the biggest advantage was India has a service culture as a nation. They had fantastic IT and software people, such that at some point in time, if you were running a software company, you either go into India or you are planning to close down. So that was why they achieved what they achieved. But now is beginning to, you know, there is a business process outsourcing. There's also knowledge process outsourcing, which is a higher end. So India is getting more interested in the higher end where there's more money to be made. It is beginning to affect their performance in the lower end, which is the BPO. As a result, in fact, last year, I think about 10 or 20 American companies withdrew their outsourcing business from India back to the US. But all that means that Africa should be the next destination.
Okay, so now let's bring it closer home.
Okay.
Let's bring it to Nigeria.
Yeah.
You talked about the necessary structure that should be in place for such outsourcing to come to Nigeria. It's a quality of people.
Yeah.
We have a population of over 170 million. Yeah. And most of the 170 million, half of it is the youth population. Yeah. Yeah. And then we're having a dearth of skills. And some of these, of course, the youths who are coming out, fresh graduates, they don't have any skills of any sort, they don't have any experience. And these are the kind of people we're expecting to go into this sort of this. So whose responsibility is it to make this teeming population of fresh graduates ready to hit the market running? Whose responsibility is it to make them ready?
Well, I think we need to do something about our curriculum. That's starting point. I had the privilege of handling about 237 fresh graduates, World Bank sponsored, about 2 years back. And in the class, at some point, some of the students said, "Sir, why are they not teaching us this in the university?" And I said, "Sorry, ask NUC." So what I'm trying to say is that a lot can be done in the university. In India, what they are doing is that they had short certification programs that actually condition these people to be good for BPO business. What they were doing is that they go to universities, plug it into the final year students' courses without interrupting their regular program. So that, because once a chap leaves a university and he has a certification, even if it was 1 week or 2 weeks, it differentiates because there's some qualities that have been gotten from that certification. So we did the World Bank program. It was amazing. It was amazing how much unprepared the fresh graduates are for the workplace. But it was a very good experience. Right now also, Nigerian IT Development Agency, NIDA. NIDA is the custodian of the outsourcing policy of the federal government. Last year, or early this year, NIDA trained about 120 fresh graduates, 3 from each state in Abuja. I was privileged to be part of that. So these are steps that have been taken. But I think 120 out of what population? A big call center will probably take 1,000. So that 120 is not even enough. Mm-hmm. So I think NIDA, the custodian of the policy, needs to step up. But let me also give them some credits, because right now they are also working on certifying Nigerian training organizations who have capacity for outsourcing training, so that they can also start producing people who are good enough for the industry.
Yeah, because you see, our service culture is actually growing. It's much, much higher than it used to be at least a couple of years ago. And so more than ever before, we need to have these companies coming in to tap into what already is on ground. I mean, for instance, now, we talked about the fact that outsourcing is particularly prominent in the telecommunications industry and, of course, in some financial institutions. But those are not the only sectors where outsourcing can actually really function. We have the agriculture, we have the automobile, we have key sectors that we're looking at promoting to at least provide jobs for the economy.
You are living off the public sector. The public sector has so much to outsource. If you have the misfortune of going to a government office and they say, go and look for your file in a room, it will be like going to hell. So there is so much. In fact, the first outsourcing conference that I managed for NIDA was targeted at letting the public sector know that there is so much they can outsource, and also the result that will come out of such activities. I'll give you an example. Right now, Federal Road Safety has a call center. Federal Inland Revenue Service is trying to set up call center. So a couple of these things are coming up, because the truth is that once you do that, I don't have to go to a tax office to find information. I need to make a call, and then someone can give me the information so that we can reduce the number of cars on the road. So apart from the public sector, first of all, there's also this domestic outsourcing, and there's also the offshore outsourcing. The domestic outsourcing is the ones that are the opportunities that are available here. The offshoring only is a situation where an American company sends job. In the software sector, a lot is actually going on, because I know that even Indian companies send some jobs to Nigerian software people for them to execute for them. So it's very, very huge. We have a lot of advantages, just like you said. One, we have
a very large
population, youth population. We are English speaking. I'm sure you know that it will be easier to turn a Nigerian to speak like an American than to turn an Indian to speak like an American. So that's an advantage. We're also GMT plus 1, which is 1 hour after the GMT, which means also gives us a time advantage, because the offshoring people, when they give you a job, they want that job executed while they are sleeping and also while they are awake. That's why when I went to Bangalore in India, you see a small outsourcing village where about 3.5 million young people work. There's no night, there's no day, 24 hours, 3 shifts. As these people are going, these people are coming. So there's always activity there all around. The thing is, government need to identify. There was sometime Minister of Finance did something. They identified 3 industries that can give the largest population of employment. Outsourcing was one of them. I think entertainment and construction. After some meetings, it just disappeared as usual. What I'm saying is that the South African government said that they want to concentrate on 2 things. One is tourism, the other one is outsourcing. That's the reason why you are getting the result you are getting. That means that this matter needs to attract the attention at the very high quarters. Once that happens, then of course you will see that policies will change. People will adjust their position and know that the presidency or the top level is interested in this, and things will start happening in that area.